Well, hello there, friends, and welcome to Virtual Show, your late night VR talk show. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend Roots. Roots, are you awake, friend? It's kind of late.
I am. It's been a long week. I was just telling Mash that my vehicle was down for work, so I've been having to run with my boss, and he goes up to Denver for the last 3 days. I got to leave at 6 a.m., come back at 9 or 8 or 9. And been long days. Finally got my vehicle back. I am tired. I'm super tired, but and, he wanted me to stay in Denver tonight again and work tomorrow with him, and I was like, I said that any other night but tonight. This is the one night I have a podcast. I got to get back home and do a show. So
We got shit to do, bro. Can't be working overnight.
well, we were going to go to Blackhawk and gamble as well. He was going to give me money to gamble. It was actually going to be. It would have been cool. But yeah, we got VR to talk about, bro. We don't have crap for that.
So. You know who else loves Blackhawks? You said Black Hawks.
Yeah. Yeah, gotcha.
Oh, Dark Angel getting the tip train going on, says, come on, ride the train and ride it, toot, toot. Thank you. Thanks for the 650 support. I mean, that's like a tall beer, bro.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit shy of a quad venti white mocha, which is getting more expensive every day, Wes. I'll tell you what, I could go for a quad venti white mocha, but I need some sleep tonight, so I'm not going to drink it.
Probably a good idea. You got to drive to Denver in the morning, so
absolutely.
We probably should get to it on that note. Of course, we need to say hello to our night owls in the chat. And speaking of tall beers, Roos, Delirium Drew in the chat says, I murdered like 12 people in Pop 1 before the show. Nice. Radio Runt joining the chat. Not very late for Radio Runt, Roots. It's right on time for him.
Yeah, well, soon he's going to be with me in the time zone, in the mountain time zone. I think next week, Radio Runt, or maybe 2 weeks, he'll be in Idaho. And he was just talking about his amazing VR room he built, and he's gonna get a lot of peripheries. He wants to get a gun stock, and it's funny. He said now he's not gonna be banging his hands and stuff in his TV and his desk. And playing one of the games today, I smacked my hand really hard. I'll let you guess which one, and it hurt. It hurt really bad. It was good.
What were you playing?
Vengeful Rites.
Oh, I know what
swinging the sword, and I back of my hands hit the corner of my desk, literally cut it open. I was like, "Oh my god, what happened?"
Shit.
Yeah, I hit it hard.
Ow, I've been there, done that, bro. So yeah, that's no good. But how about Radio Runt leaving California to go to Idaho? Like that, it's normally the other way around, right?
Used to be. Now it's the exodus is out of California to sanity, West, and there's a lot of sanity in Idaho and a lot of potatoes. So
yep, lots of taters there. What I hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I hear they have internet out California way.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Corporate Zombie joining the chat says, "Morning owl here," and big shout out to Corporate Zombie, by the way, for doing the chapters, the timestamps. Like you'll notice intermittently, our videos now have chapters to them. That's all because Corporate Zombie takes the time to go in there and break it down, and I come in the next day and add it in. Roots and I are both very busy, a little too busy to break down the chapters like that. But Corporate Zombie stepping in where we're lacking and bringing the value level up a little bit for us here. So big shout out to him and a big thank you.
Absolutely. I appreciate that because a lot of people don't want to go through the whole episode, Wes. They want to pinpoint right where it's at. That's crazy talk to me. I'd like, when it's virtual strangers, I want the whole thing, but to each their own.
You know who else wants the whole thing, Roots?
My mom! Oh, yeah, she does.
Onikazi in chat as always. He says, "Oh yeah, that left early access. I need to see how far it's come." We're going to talk a little bit about it, but I don't know about these other guys. But it's going to be mainly first impressions for me. I just played the beginning of the game. He says he has family in oh, Drew says he has family in Idaho. The state that touches Canada.
Well, who knows? There's a couple states that touch Canada, huh?
Yeah, there are a few, eh?
Yeah.
Radio Rut says the whole strangers. Yeah, we're gonna have the whole package here in just a minute. Our friend Eric sitting quietly by while we say hello to the chat. Decepticons in the chat, by the way. Oh, so wow, that was a loud one. That came back in my earphones.
Yeah, I love it when it comes back. And you know who else likes it when it comes back in the earphones?
I do.
Mom!
Oh, anyway, I think that Wolveraza, we need to shout out Wolveraza for making it live. We need to do them all at 1:00 in the morning, Roots. We'll make every one of them.
Yeah, dude, this is a later than usual Virtual Strangers virtual show, for a couple different reasons, right? But I think it's gonna work out. I think it's gonna be good.
Well, that's what happens when you have a long day, right? You have a late show.
Yeah, dude, I just was not ready, and I'm kind of weird about when we talk about games. A lot of people want to play them like a week in advance. I want to play them as close to the show as I can, so it's fresh. You know what I mean? So
Right. Traveling Man 3775 joining us as well says, hey, what's up? Anyway, let's not keep Eric waiting any longer. Let's bring in our friend. You all know him from the Oculus Quest community on Facebook. I always have to think about what that's called because there's a couple different ones, but his is the big one, right? Eric Masher. Eric, thanks for joining us.
No problem, guys. How's it going? I would stay up till 5 a.m. to come out and talk, VR with you guys for sure.
Again,
Again, yeah. It was a long day today, Wes. It was a long day.
So we put Eric through his initiation last night and brought him into becoming an official virtual stranger. So he's into all of our shared accounts now. He has access, but it takes a little while to do all that stuff. So we were literally up almost till daylight doing all this stuff last night.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I was sleeping because I needed to sleep.
We got it done though.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. So, is there any? Let me ask you this, Mash. What game? Like when you looked at the list of games, what game was on there that you were like, oh, I'm trying that?
Wraith the Oblivion. Haven't done that one yet.
Yeah.
And I could do it because it's on Infinity. I just haven't had a chance to do it, but
now you can do it on your Quest 2 since you're the Quest 2 guy, right?
I know, right?
Yeah,
I know it.
Absolutely. So convenience. So sorry for the convenience, as what Mitch Hedberg like to say. Escalators now temporarily stairs. Sorry for the convenience. Anyway, let's get in and talk a little VR. And we're going to start off by talking about Fracked. Fracked, as we speak, still has yet to officially be released on the PlayStation Store. This is a PlayStation VR exclusive coming to us from In Dreams, who you may know already from other titles such as Phantom Covert Ops, Bloody Zombies, among others. A big shout out and thank you to In Dreams for providing myself and Eric with review access to Fracked. And I want to clear something up. I went on the PSVR Without Parole a couple of days ago on their Gamescast to talk about Fracked. And when we were talking about it, I got my words mixed up and I said that I wasn't sorry that I paid $30 for it. I didn't pay for it. Like I was given a key. What I meant to say was that I wouldn't be sorry had I paid for it. So to be 100% clear, this game was provided to us early from the developer, and for that, we thank you.
Definitely, thank you. In Dreams is awesome.
Yeah, Jimmy, shout out Jimmy. What a great dude.
Heck yeah.
Space Tennyson joining the chat. Fist bumping everybody. There you go, Roots. Storm B joining as well. What's up? Good morning, good night, good evening, whatever it is for you guys. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so Frack, this is an interesting one. This is one of the most highly anticipated PlayStation VR games of the year. This is an action shooter game, but as is the case with most games coming from InDreams, it isn't quite so clear cut. Uh, they put their own unique take on action shooter game, uh, and I guess we should start with that. Typically with most of these games, you're just running and climbing through it. But this game also has these sequences where you're on skis going downhill. Now, a couple of things about the skiing sequences in this. One, probably the best part of the game, in my opinion. Eric, what did you think?
100%. It was the best skiing game I played in VR. I don't know how. I mean, there's like games out there that are dedicated to nothing but skiing, and this game did it as a small part of it, and they did it the best I've ever seen.
Does that make you sad? Do you wish that there was all skiing? Because that's the thing. I want a really good skiing game. If they nailed that, man.
Dude, if they could make a skiing game where it was just all skiing, but you're shooting guns. What's that game that's coming up there? It's basically you're on a motorcycle, right? And you're just riding through on a motorcycle and you're shooting like cars and stuff.
Runner.
Runner, that's it. This is like if you get a game where like Runner, but where you're on skis or you're on a snowmobile or something like that. That would be awesome.
That's actually a very astute point. Playing something like this makes you a little more excited for Runner, right?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I was excited for that game already, but I mean, I thought the skiing was just going to be like a tacked on thing or something, but man, it was so good. I mean, I just kept wanting I wanted more of it. I was like, all right, let's get it. I was sad when those parts ended, and I'm like, I hope I get another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean because I was like you when I saw these skiing parks. I was wondering, is this going to be too gimmicky? Is it going to be something where they're trying a little too hard to be different? But to the contrary, uh, while these were probably the best, funnest parts of the game, to the point where they could do a whole game of just this, and I would be totally in. I wanted more of it. I didn't feel like there was nearly as much skiing in the game as I thought that there was going to be.
Well, yeah, because it starts out. You mean your first right away. You start out skiing. You know what I mean? That's so you're like, oh, this is going to be. Hopefully this is going to be a big part of the game. You kind of think you're going to be going from level to level by skiing. And it's not exactly that case. I mean, there is more than that, just that. But yeah, I mean, I wish there was more for sure. And
And
I
not
just
only
didn't know.
that,
I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I was figuring. I mean, I saw the skiing parts like in the in the trailers and stuff, but I didn't know exactly what it was going to be.
yeah, it seemed to me like from the promo material, the trailers and stuff, that they were focusing on the skiing a lot, and that led me to believe that you know you know up to half of the game might be these skiing sequences. Like I was under the impression that you were going to climb, ski, climb, ski. This was the whole game was going to be climbing up the levels and then skiing back down. Not the case at all. I think there was what three skiing sequences in the whole game.
Yeah, three, and they were all the three great ones. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see five. I mean, sure we'll talk about this a little bit later, but if they could have put two or three more, would have made the game maybe
Yeah,
a little easier
yeah,
to swallow the price, right?
yeah, for sure. Roots. The best way to describe it is it's kind of like the skiing part was so intuitive. Like you really don't have to think about steering all that much. It was really more that you were thinking about shooting and defending from enemy attacks. Uh, but if I had to like compare it to something, it was kind of like Rush of Blood, except instead of on tracks, you're on skis, and it's way faster.
And you're also not, you have a lot more freedom, right? So it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually a very good point because it seemed to me on my single playthrough, I only played through it once. It seemed to me on my single playthrough that it looked like there were branching paths when you were skiing. Like you could go left or right in quite a few different spots. Did you get the same impression, Eric?
Yeah, I think almost every one of those skiing levels had branching paths where you could go left. I mean, it wasn't huge. I mean, you can either go left or right, but it brought you to different areas, and there's different. There's things you collect, and I think there's different things in each path. So, I mean, you're going to have to play it multiple times to try and get all those things if you want them, because I think you're going to have to go down those paths. But yeah, I did. I died once. I had gotten one of those collectibles down one path, I died and I had to repeat, and I found a different collectible down the other side. So I know they definitely
Mm,
have different stuff on each side.
nice.
Yeah.
Someone in Corporate Zombie wants to know: are we saying the game is short? How long did it take you to play through this game, Wes?
Well, if we're gonna get right straight into the elephant in the room, so I went on without parole, and this was basically the topic du jour. There, it was. I think Brian Paul said that it took him 2.5 hours to play through it,
Mm.
and I think AJ made it through it a little bit quicker. Now, me, of course, I am notoriously slower than everyone in the world at playing these games, and this was no different. It took me a little over 4 hours to play through the campaign, and but I didn't feel like I was going too slow. Actually, I felt like I could have slowed it down a little bit. Um, what about you, Eric? I'm very interested. This was kind of the one thing I was really curious about. How long did it take you to play through Fracked?
I was probably somewhere in the middle. I was like 3:15. I did it in two separate sittings, just because I had something to do in between. So, but yeah, total was probably like 3 hours 15, 3 hours 20 minutes, and you know, I felt I could have went slower. Like I said, this is a cover based game, and they want you to take cover, and sometimes I felt like I was kind of just rushing around. Where if I had taken my time and just stayed in cover, I wouldn't have died as much, but I would have taken a lot longer to get through it. So I could see, especially if you're trying to collect and see every part, I could see 4 hours easy.
And not die.
Um,
So that's good.
but you could speed run it in two. I could see that too. If you wanted to just bang through it as fast as you can, once you get used to the mechanics, which is something else we can talk about, a little bit after that. The movement mechanics. Once you get used to that, you could probably speed run this thing. I could see where Brian could do it in 2 hours, or AJ could do it in 2 hours, especially those
Yeah.
guys who know the moves so well.
Yeah, right. Right. Because they're like they've been in PSVR exclusively for like 5 years,
Right.
right? So we're talking about the pros among pros when it comes to PlayStation VR. But I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that your experience was a little closer to mine, because I don't feel like it's quite as short as everyone is making it out to be. Don't get me wrong, um, it is a short game, but In Dreams makes short games. I mean, there were similar complaints with Phantom Covert Ops when it came out exclusively on Oculus. People were complaining about that one being too short, and that one was actually a little bit longer than this one, but not by a lot.
Well, let's go with Eric's 3 hours, right? 3 hours, 15 minutes. That's about
Yeah, right around there.
$10 an hour. Is that worth $10 an hour to you? And
All right.
let's keep in mind that people will spend $20 on, I mean, name any shitty movie out there that's out there today. You know what I mean? And you're not getting anything and you don't own it. So
Okay. Well, before we get to that, the meat and potatoes of the whole thing, I think we should talk a little bit about the game, and then we'll discuss the price at the end. We'll decide whether or not we want to recommend it because it is short. No one can argue that it is short, and it is a fairly high price at $30. Now, I will point out that if you pre-order it, which you still can because it's not out yet, you can get a pretty good discount right now and pick it up for like 26, 27. So you save a few bucks if you pick it up right now. Um, but beyond the length of the game, let's talk about the gameplay itself. I found the gameplay to be extremely fun, even though it wasn't the most unique concept in the world. I mean, it was a uh, pretty standard shoot 'em up. The cover mechanic was very easy to get used to, and the action was just super fast paced, almost too fast paced, right?
Yeah, I mean, this game does not stop. There's no slowdown. There's no reading. There's no, picking up books or, trying to, get any kind of backstory. This is all shoot from scene to scene, do cool moves, zip line, take cover, shoot exploding barrels. It's nonstop adrenaline, which I like. Sometimes I don't want to get into a deep game. I just want to get in and shoot shit.
Yeah, and this is very good if that's what you're looking for. I mean, among VR games, this is one of the most arcadish uh, games that I've ever played. I mean, it really feels like something that you should be pumping quarters into, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially, I mean, you look at the loading mechanic, which, like Wolveraz, somebody like Wolveraz will hate, but it's basically pop one, right? It's exactly pop one. When you need to reload, you hit a button, and it shows you like an outline of the clip underneath where the clip would go into the gun. And once you push that in, you just have to rack the weapon, and then you're ready to shoot. So there's no grabbing any ammunition off your belt or having to do anything like that, because we're literally with the speed of this game, I think that'd be too slow. It
Yeah.
needs a quick reload.
Yeah, yeah, and it felt good too. It wasn't hard to find your clip or find the slide with the move controllers. I mean, it took about 5 seconds for me to get used to that, and then after I did, I felt like it added to the game. Um, which again is odd for me. I normally don't care for any reload mechanics. I'm fine with the button press reload. But as was the case with Sniper Elite, I felt like having something to do to reload actually added to the gameplay.
Corp-
Yeah, I'm sorry,
corporate
go ahead.
corporate zombie wants to know: is it better than Borderlands 2 VR, gameplay wise? I'm assuming. I mean, obviously, Borderlands 2 is a AAA game. That's how long? I mean, it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and when you start comparing it to other things in the library, that's where things kind of get dicey. With this, like, because its price kind of puts it in the tier with some of the larger AAA games, and that's not what this is. This is not a AAA game. Now, what's here is almost that level of polish. I mean, well, let's talk about the production value a little bit. Um, a lot of people saying that this game looks beautiful, and it does. I'm not disputing that at all. It looks great in the PSVR headset. But on my second playthrough, as I finished the game in my second session, I really started to think about, you know, why am I so impressed with the graphics? And I think it's more so to do with the headset that it's on. It wasn't like so much the fact that this is the most beautiful game that I've ever seen. Uh, it's just one of the most beautiful games that I've ever seen in that headset. I mean, we're talking about the PSVR headset, and there's no blur, there's no jaggies. It's clear to the edges with no foveated rendering. Admittedly, I did play on PlayStation 5, um, but and it's very colorful. It shows off that OLED, or the capabilities of that OLED panel to the fullest extent. Eric, what did you think about how the game looked, and where does it rank among just the other top VR games in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's cell shaded, right? So it's not, this isn't realistic looking game. It's cell shaded, but I love the art style of this cell shading more than say like a Borderlands or any other cell shaded game. It was so cool, just the way the colors were. I mean, if you're looking in this trailer, the way the blacks were in the darker areas and the way the blues and these purples, it pops even more in the headset, which is amazing. In a 6-year-old headset or 5-year-old headset, which is
Yeah,
crazy. But it's almost like you can see some like it's almost like you can see like the brush strokes of like somebody painting this. That's the way it looks like in game, and it's to me it's almost like an art style more than just the graphics. I think I like the art style. I like the look of it, and it's just super colorful, even down to the guy's gloves. I mean, you're always saying you're always busting on you look at your hands, but the hands, the gloves look super cool, man. I just liked them. I dug them. And you have like an oversized hand, so you're like you got these big, huge hands. They're just pretty cool looking. And even the weapons look cool. The way the guns were.
yeah, yeah. I loved how when you look down at your guns, you could see the ammunition inside the gun. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you talk about these small details that you're seeing in the art style, again, it all kind of comes back to the fact that that OLED is just popping and super clear. I mean, you could barely see SDE, like it was that level of clarity. Now, obviously, things in the distance, it is an older, lower resolution headset, so things in the distance you would notice it there, but it was never something that crossed your mind at all, and it was super vibrant. and colorful and beautiful. And that's what was so interesting about this, because most people will agree that this is one of the most beautiful games that they've ever played on PlayStation VR. But as I'm playing through it again the second time and really thinking about it, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to reproduce this on a Quest 2 standalone. Am I wrong?
No, 100%. This definitely could be a Quest 2 game. I mean, I don't see why. There's nothing graphically here. Um, I think it's just the fact that Sony paid for it. Sony says we want it. We don't want you to have anybody else to have it, because technology wise, I think they could do it easy.
Right. And that's what's so surprising, because uh again, who people who talk about PlayStation VR like it's so much superior to what the standalone headsets can do, have turned around and called this one of the most beautiful games that they've ever played. And there's nothing here that I don't think could be reproduced in the Quest 2. Now, maybe not so much on the one, but in the Quest 2, and obviously the colors won't pop and the blacks won't be what they are on the PlayStation version. But the texture resolutions isn't super detailed or anything like that, and you can tell it uses that same style of rendering the textures that they use in standalone titles, which led me to believe that one of two things are the case here. Either one, they're planning on bringing this game to Oculus Quest, or two, they're taking some lessons that they learned with Phantom Covert Ops and applying it so that they can maximize what they get out of the PlayStation 4 console. I'm absolutely convinced that one of those two things is the case here.
I think you're right, and I'm hoping it's coming to the Quest. I can't say that. I mean, I just want to play it on the Quest as well with joysticks, but I can't wait to try this on the PlayStation VR eventually.
Owner
Yeah,
Kazi is asking about the complexity geometry wise. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff that you see in Quest games pretty often. Everything, the scaling is a little bit bigger, not by much, not enough to make it feel weird or anything. It just kind of makes everything seem a little more exaggerated. And the textures are, instead of being this super 3D, high detailed textures, you've got this wallpaper effect that looks great. It really works with this art style. That's why you see so many people using cell shading these days. But you can tell it's those same techniques that Oculus pretty much taught to the game community, the development community, that they're using here. And that's why I'm so convinced that that either they're bringing it to Quest or they developed it as if it were a Quest game. It makes me wonder if maybe they started on this game before they knew what platform they were going to take it to.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is a timed exclusive, and they're going to bring it. But a couple of things you said, Wes. I didn't notice any screen door effect in this at all. And I don't spend as much time in the PlayStation headset as maybe you or some of the other people do. So you'd think it would be more noticeable to me, jumping from say my Index or the Quest 2, but until you just brought it up, I never even thought about it. And I played, like I said, I beat the whole game, and I played probably maybe like 15 minutes, 20 minutes into another playthrough just to try a couple of different levels. And I not once thought about screen door until you just said it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's amazing. With this older headset, it really makes me mad, man, because like it just goes to show you what they could be doing, what Sony could be doing right now with PSVR in its last year. If they wanted to, they could put out some blockbusters right now. And I mean, there are other games that have this level of clarity, but you can count them on your hands, right? There aren't a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's almost like this game was like a proof of concept almost for them. That's why it's so short. Maybe they were just like, look, can we do this? Can we take a PlayStation 5 only game, or a PlayStation 5 not only but improved with PlayStation 5 game? Can we take it and make it look this good? And let's just see if we can do it. And just because the game's so short, it almost looks like a proof of concept game, right? or a
Yeah.
tech. I'm not a tech demo. It's more than a tech demo, but it almost has that kind of feel to it with the length of it.
Yeah, and with regards to the resolution, uh, all they're really doing here to make it clear like that is they've enabled dynamic resolution. They've enabled, they've let the console decide how much resources it has to apply to the game, and that's why when I say it makes me mad. That's what makes me mad because we have this vast library of PlayStation VR games, which in my opinion is the best library. There's so many awesome games in there, and it wouldn't take much for these developers, especially of the higher profile, bigger titles, to go in there and optimize these and basically unlock them for PS5. And nobody's doing it. Just a handful of people have done this, and it's really upsetting to me because I would love to go back in those games. And I'm so excited that Sony did come out, or they didn't come out. Well, they said to developers that they're going to want to focus on remasters for the next gen headset. But that doesn't do me any good now. I want my Resident Evil 7 to have this level of clarity. I don't need any graphical enhancement other than this kind of clarity, dynamic resolution, and anti-aliasing. I feel like most of the big titles could do this easily, but since they're not really going to benefit from it at all monetarily, I think that they're all kind of just avoiding it.
You know what's funny is that's exactly true, and it also goes for the developers that are releasing their games today, like In Dreams just did, and I like that Arashi game, and I was saying, why did they not optimize it for release? They absolutely stand to benefit from monetization for I don't understand. It just drives me crazy. It's feel like some devs don't get it, or maybe I'm just missing on some. Like you said, it can't be that difficult to do, or it just drives me crazy because there's so many games out there that aren't optimized, that are dropping on day one, or that could be amazing like this on day one. So
Gamer Chick 13 in the chat ask, have we gone on about how short the game is? I would rather have quality over quantity, she says. We've talked about it a little bit, Tiffany, but we haven't gotten to the part where recommend, not recommend, wait for a sale. What we haven't gotten, we're not finished talking about how short it is, and I think it's interesting that she says how short it is as opposed to how long it is, right? Because it's not very long. Sound, 3D audio, of course, as expected from In Dreams, on point. Voice acting, surprisingly good here, but I felt like, Eric, that the game was so fast paced that the story suffered from it. I mean, they had a decent premise here for a story. They had good voice actors to tell it, but the game, it's such a, it's paced at such a breakneck speed that you really don't have time to even consider what's going on or why you're doing any of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's they had some missed opportunities here because they had really good voice actors, especially I think the chopper pilot, which was great. Rosales, she was great. I don't remember her name. I watched the credits too, but and I saw her name, but I don't remember it now. But she was really good, and she had some good interaction and good kind of quips with the main character there, and they just kind of like zoomed through it. You know what I mean? There was even one part where you kind of like get into like a locker room area and you kind of slow down and they're trying to tell a little bit of backstory. But before you even get into any meat of the backstory or trying to figure out what some things are going on, there's a guy who breaks through the door and starts shooting at you. So
Yeah.
you're right back to shooting again. Like, and because you really, I thought at that point, okay, maybe I'm going to see something. But no, they kind of just moved you right on to the next scene.
Yeah. I mean, and it was to the point, um, that I mean, the scenes were there, the dialogue was there to tell you what the story is. But for me, um, by the time I got to the boss fight and you finally have the big reveal of what's happening, I was just kind of like, "What? How did I get here?" Did you experience the same thing where you're at in that final level,
Wes,
and it
I, I,
all
st-
unfolds.
I still don't know what the fuck is going on. I swear to God, I have no clue what this story is about. How did the aliens get to the planet? Where did this guy come from? I thought we were dealing with the bioengineer guy being the bad guy, and then he was dead, and then there was a new guy, and it was just too fast. If they slowed it a little bit, and pacing, right? Pacing. If they had taken their time a little bit, maybe the game wouldn't have been. You could add another hour in the game if you put a couple of cutscenes in, or something a little bit longer to get some backstory or make things, make sense a little bit. But it was
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
like the story was there just to get you to the next scene. That's all. To the next fight scene.
Right, right. It served its purpose, but it was a missed opportunity because there was again a very viable premise here. There's some awesome or what could have been awesome plot twists toward the end, a couple of them, and it all gets overshadowed by you know the thing that you love about the game, right? The gunplay, the high action, high tempo. I mean, they're trying to do blood and truth level uh, of action adventure here, but they they leave out so much of what Blood and Truth does well, and that is tell the story. I think you're absolutely right. I feel like if there had been a little bit more uh, exploration, looking for the next clue to unveil what's actually going on before you uh, set out for your next task. Not only would it added some much needed playtime to the game, it would have given you time to explore these awesome maps that are fairly big and sprawling. The maps, most of them, and it would have allowed us to really enjoy what could have been a great story. Um, I mentioned the maps, Eric. I was very impressed with the layouts of these maps. As was expected, they didn't just all move out horizontally, but there was a very vertical aspect to them too. Tons of stuff to climb, zip lines everywhere, and enemies literally crawling out from every hole. I was very impressed with the level design in this game.
I want to go to this town. This town has like 50 zip lines in every 10 feet.
Yeah.
This is like the best thing in the world, right? You just zip line. The guys must work in this factory and just zip line from spot to spot because the zip lines everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it moves you right through though, right? I mean, it's so fast with just grabbing a zip line, and you can use it you can use the zip lines to really, with combat, because you can get above the enemies and zip line over top of them and shoot them, which is, amazing as it is. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just pacing, right? I mean, it's just if they slowed down a little bit, but the environments were so good. You know what I mean? The areas were so cool. I love the climbing areas. Some of the outdoor areas. Wes, did you see that one scene? It was outside. Maybe it was like the third or I think the third scene, but you were outside and you had the two mountain peaks, and in between them the sun was just about to set, and it like shone in your eyes. It was just a cool scene. It was a cool lighting effect and the way they did it. It almost gave you like a little bit of a blinding effect, which it made it look so real. It was really neat. Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Yeah, I also noticed how good the natural lighting was in the game, and that's something that they actually would have a difficult time reproducing on standalone hardware. Not that it couldn't be done. VenVR Adventure notably did an awesome job with their lighting. Um, but yeah, I think that pretty much everything with regards to production, they really knocked it out of the park with. Like the production level of this game is AAA quality production level, even if it's cell shaded and not the most complex rendering methods in the world. Roots, these maps that we're talking about here. That this is You're basically in these mining facilities, and they're all multi-storied, and you can climb up to the top of all of it and come back down. But this is the only mining facility that I've ever seen in the world that has more zip lines than stairs in it. Literally, you can zip line all through this thing, and you can zip line with one hand and equip your weapon in the other hand, and literally be fighting as you're zipping down to the bottom of the map. It's really awesome.
That is awesome. It's almost like OSHA's not involved in this mine at all, right?
No, not at all.
I'm with Eric though. That's the kind of mine I want to go to. I want to be zipping around like crazy, but it looks really cool. And you know, the action looks amazing. So I think you're right. I think it's super fast paced. So
Yeah, the action's so good and so uh fun or inviting. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is that even though you know it's going too fast, you you can't stop. Like you you want to keep going with it. That's kind of the thing. Now, most levels you can clear. You can clear the enemies and you're left. And I had so much fun on these zip lines. Like sometimes I would clear the map and there might be 3 or 4 zip lines that I didn't use during the fight. And I would just go up and climb and zip down them just because I didn't want to let them go to waste. Like it was that fun to use that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of did the same thing. You're like you just want to use them. You know, what I mean, you would go around to a different spot just so you could use the zip line to make it seem cool. But you know, that's what it is though. What this game does well, it does so well that you almost don't care about the other. Like you know, okay, it doesn't have a story, but it does the combat so good that I'm like, okay, I'm almost okay with it. You know what I mean? Um, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I think we can talk about it at the end too, but if they had just added a couple of things to it, and you know, go on with the arcade thing maybe a little bit more because it's already an arcade game, right? Make it a little more arcadey. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
You'll
do.
talk about it at the end. You know what I mean? So if they had done that, this game would have been probably one of my top 5 or 6 games.
Absolutely. Uh, while we're still in the happy-go-lucky part where we're talking about what the game does
Mhm.
great, we would be remiss not to mention the soundtrack, which was amazing. It sounded like they had a live band playing for the damn thing. I mean, there was even one level where you know you have periods of silence and then periods with music, and when you hear the music, you know something's about to happen. You know enemies are coming. There was this one level where you walk through a door and you trigger obviously the next wave of enemies, and you literally get counted into the room by drumsticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it just starts rocking with the music. I love the soundtrack to this, Eric. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought I was playing Pistol Whip again with that drum beat in that one. I noticed that one too. It was kind of cool the way you jumped in there. Yeah, it was neat. Yeah, all the music was great. You know, it kept you on. You know, it kept you. The music went right along with the fast paced action of the game, so it was perfect. You know, it never got too much to where it interfered with the game, but it was always there to keep you kind of moving. You know, through the game too. It was really good.
Yeah, nice high octane, real music, right? Like so the music in this game sounded more like something you would listen to in real life than a lot of the tracks that we hear on rhythm games today.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I think that we pretty thoroughly covered everything the game does well. It's beautiful. You know the gunplay is intuitive. All the action is intuitive. The cover mechanic is easy to pick up on and useful in combat. I always use a lot of cover anyway when I play these types of games. The visuals are great. The sound is good, whether you're talking about directional audio, whether you're talking about voice acting or the soundtrack. It's all spot on, and it's the best skiing game that we've ever played. On top of all that, uh,
How about the controls though, Wes? I was super excited with the move controls because I'm not a I just started playing PSVR. You know what I mean? A couple months ago, so I'm not really that familiar with the move controllers. The way they implemented the move controllers with this to make you move around with free locomotion with it, I thought it would once I got the hang of it, because it did take me a little bit. I'll give you that, because it did take me a little bit just to get the motions down. But I thought it was really cool, man. I love what the move. It's not, you know, it's not touch controllers, okay? I understand that. But what they did with it and the way they make it work, I was impressed.
yeah, this is a good timing for the talk of controllers as we move into the critical part of the interview. Now, I do agree with you. They did a good job implementing a familiar button layout for locomotion with move controllers. This layout is something that is based on tried and true move schemes that have come before it. The most good games that use move controllers have a button layout that's very similar to this one. So yeah, I'm glad to see they didn't try to reinvent the wheel here. It's when people start to change up the standard move configuration is when games start to get in trouble. They stuck with what has worked in the past, and it does work quite well, but it's not perfect. There are some things here that I feel like should be included that weren't. First of all, there's no option for headset oriented locomotion. You can only, not that I could tell, from what I could tell you, the only option was to use your controller and point in the direction that you want to walk. I would rather always be walking in the direction that I'm looking. Secondly, um, this is a seated game. They tell you at the beginning you should play this game sitting down, which is great. I love playing seated games. I play games that I'm supposed to play standing, sitting down. So I love that this was designed to be a seated game, but there's no crouch button. And some of these weapons that they give you, you accidentally drop on the ground sometimes. And if you got guys buzzing all around you, uh, you can't be trying to squat down from your chair and pick things up off the floor, especially if you're sitting in like a high bar stool the way I do. So I really that's probably my biggest complaint with the controls was they really need a crouch button, as any seated game should have.
That should be number one. Absolutely. For that reason, especially if I can drop my gun. How many times do I drop my gun and I can't pick it up anyway? And especially in that situation. But somebody asked a question that interested me, or actually made a comment, and I guess there's only two weapons. Says adding more weapons and grenades would be nice. Two weapons is not enough. It's hard to get. What do you think about that? Is that something you guys felt as well?
Yeah, that was the next critical thing that I was going to bring up actually is the weapon selection. You have two main weapons, and then you can find there's like three or four other weapons that you can find that are special weapons that you use them until their ammunition runs out and then they disappear. Now those games or those guns rather are easy to find, especially later in the game. They're kind of everywhere. But I did feel like that they could have had a little bit more weapon variety as well as enemy variety. What did you think about these aspects, Eric?
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things I was going to talk about. Is that they really only had maybe three different enemies, and one of them was so similar I wouldn't even count it. One basically was the same enemy. He had a purple head, and that was about
Right,
he had a dark
right.
purple head or something like that. That was the only difference. They could definitely put some more, something in there with enemy variety and weapon variety, or even a weapon, a little bit of a weapon progression system, maybe to make your weapons better. I don't know. Um, it would have been probably tough to try and implement that. Like, why would there be weapon stations to improve your weapons in a mining facility? But I don't know, different weapons. Maybe some mining weapons or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that actually would be something that would fit quite well. Like the type of weapons they use in boiling steel would fit right into a game like this, where you're literally on a mining colony. So yeah, rivet guns, things like that. Um, or even like the special weapons that they give you. Uh, I mean, they could have just made those permanent weapons and made the ammunition a little more difficult to find for it, right?
Yeah, I mean that revolver was they had a revolver in there that was really kick ass. But
Yeah,
you got 5 shots and then the weapon was gone, and that was one thing I hated too. So basically, when the weapon is empty, it dissolves in your hand, but you have to watch that weapon dissolve animation while you're in the middle of getting shot at by 15 guys before you can switch to your next weapon. So I'm like, what the hell? Just
well,
drop the damn
You're
weapon.
like,
Why does it got to
the,
dissolve? Yeah,
funny,
exactly.
dude.
well, that's not exactly true. Now, if you wait for your gun to pop back up in your hand to continue fighting, then yes, it takes a second, and you have to take cover while you wait. But you don't have to do that. If you press the weapon select button while it's happening, you can start
Oh,
scrolling immediately. And that was how I dealt with that little 2 or 3 second animation.
I got to go back in and do that now. Screwed that up.
There you go. It was a good reason to play it again, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Um, so what else? What else could we be critical of? We already talked about the length, um, and the lack of enemies. Although you said that there's that one of the enemies is just the other one with a purple head. Do you know who prefers it to have a purple head?
My mom!
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh, I don't know. I kind of find it hard to be critical of much more than that. Really, um, I think the biggest downfall of the game is the fact the game's strength is its biggest weakness. It's the pacing. The pacing leaves the story in the dust, and of course they could have, as we already mentioned, they could have added a little more exploration and storytelling to the game, and still kept that pace once you get into a fighting sequence. But as it stands now, the whole game is one big long fighting sequence with barely any time to catch your breath. Oh, I know what we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about the climbing sequences. And as much as we thought this was going to be a skiing game, there was much more climbing than there was skiing, which I didn't mind so much because of the scenarios that they put you in when you're climbing. With most games, climbing is just kind of a tacked on thing that they give you to immerse you more in the game. I think that they really use the environment well and use the climbing sequences to uh, to basically uh, let you feel the environment a little bit more. Like the environment, dealing with the environment was the entire challenge of most climbing sequences in this game, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah, and I think that led to the verticality you're talking about. You know, what I mean, when you have to, you don't want the levels to be just flat. You know, you want to be able to move up and down, and that's how they got you through it. Was making you, giving you obstacles to get around by having to climb in different directions, and it felt really good. I mean, the climbing was great. I mean, there was no issues that I had with any of the climbing. There was some kind of, later on, there's a kind of a couple of timing sequence climbing things that I thought were really cool too. So yeah, I was happy with the climbing. It was
Let
pretty
me
cool.
ask you this, are you both of you? I guess it looks like the climbing would add a lot of just make it feel even more open because there's so many possibilities of which way you can go up, down, this way, that way. It just really opens everything up to where you just feel like you have a lot more mobility.
Well, that's true to an extent, but what really made the climbing sequences is the spontaneity of it. Like you might feel like you can go this way or that way, but when you're going this way, uh, you know, things will break off and things will explode, and now all of a sudden you're in a completely different situation, holding on by your pinky finger while you're dangling over a 5,000 foot drop. Um, it really the game did a very good job of making you feel the danger in the environment. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Cool.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, all right. So I guess we need to go ahead and get down to brass tacks and talk about the thing everybody's wondering about. Uh, is it worth $30? Now, we always say it's a very subjective thing here, value, because what $30 means to me isn't the same as what $30 means to you. So basically, the only choice we have is to compare it to other titles on the PlayStation Store and and what you can get for $30. Um, Eric, is this game? Do you recommend it for $30?
So yeah, this was a hard one, man. I had to think about it because you know before End Dreams gave me access to it, I had pre-ordered it, so I was getting it anyway. Either way, and so I said to myself, if you did pay for it, would you be happy? And I enjoyed every minute that I had in this game. There's not often nowadays that I get a chance to finish a game, and there wasn't a thought in my head. I know it's a short game, but still to spend 3.5, almost 3.5 hours, not easy. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I wanted to finish this game. I didn't finish it just for this. I wanted to finish it because I was enjoying it and have a good time with it. So, but yeah, I mean, $30 is a lot of money, but I've spent $30 on a lot worse crap than this. You know what I mean? And that was longer, but it was worse. You know what I mean? The reason you want this longer is because it's so good. If it was garbage, you wouldn't care how short it was. You just want it to be over. And this, you don't want it to be over. That's why you say it's too short. So yeah, this is a difficult one for me. I'm gonna say that I would recommend it at the 25 if you could get it now, or whatever it is, 26. If you could get it on a pre-order price.
So
Uh,
basically you're saying that you wouldn't have been too disappointed paying 30 for it, but it's a lot easier for you to recommend pre-ordering it than waiting for the price to come up.
yeah, I'm saying 100. If you can get it for $25 or what, I'm not sure exactly what it is.
It was
26.
like it was 26 and change, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna say buy it. If you can buy it for that. I had that much fun in this game, and I would go back to it because you can go back and play any level you want after you beat it. You can select levels and go back, and I want to go back to some of these levels. I want to do some of these things again that I maybe did a different way last time. I want to do some of these skiing levels again for sure. So yeah, I want to go back to it, and I'm not so sure that they're done with this game, Wes. I mean, they left this thing open, and we know that with Phantom Covert Ops, they added a ton of shit to that game afterwards. They added all these kinds of modes, and they didn't add a lot of story content or anything like that, but they put a lot of extra stuff into that game. What's to say
Yeah,
they couldn't do that with this game?
that's exactly where I was going with this because the game as it stands today is replayable. It's so fun to play it. Like I'm honestly contemplating trying to beat it on hard. And for those of you who don't know what the hard level is you got one life. You can't die. And now I guarantee you won't beat it in 2.5 hours on your first try, right? It's probably going to uh, take you weeks to get good enough at this game to beat it on hard. So I'm thinking, I want to play through the campaign again anyway. I'm thinking I might just start trying to play it on hard and see how far I can get, how quickly. But what you're saying is true there. There are things like it would, we were talking about how they could have added story sections and exploration to lengthen the campaign out a little bit. That's not something they can do in a patch. Like that ship has sailed. But what they can do is what you said, something similar to what they did with Phantom Covert Ops, and put some extra game modes in here. Put some. This game seems like it was almost made to be a speedrunning game, something that's timed with leaderboards, and where you get points for how many enemies you can take out. Because I mean, it's very rare that you kill all of the enemies in the fastest paced scenes. Like generally, there are some left. So they could set up a scoring system based on how fast you go and how many enemies that you kill on your way through. And there's enough. There's enough here to where you would be able to get some uh, variety. There's enough here to support a leaderboard. Basically, is what I'm saying. There would be enough variance with just those two factors to where you wouldn't have people scoring the same thing, and having like a 50-way tie on your leaderboard. So I think you're absolutely right. I think something like that, this game would be very well suited for, and I think that it would add a lot of value to the game because it would have something else to bring you back in other than the fact that it's just awesome and fun to play.
Yeah, Zombieland this thing, right? You could Zombieland this
Yeah.
thing easy. And then how much extra would that add to the game? So if you got the campaign the way it is exactly now, and then you take the Zombieland scoring system or speed system, how you're trying to get through that. I mean, you could do a number of things to this is an arcade game, so it's meant to be played, fast, shoot, get, score points with different types of kills, they could do it easy. That and like you said, that could be done easy in a patch. I mean, maybe not. Okay, maybe not easy, but I could see another couple month or two down the road they could do that.
GamerChick13 says, is the game balanced well enough to do a permadeath mode? It is, but you're going to have to adjust how you play. Like, they want you to use your cover base, that cover mechanic as you fight, and you are going to have to, because really what gets you killed is letting yourself get caught up in the pacing of the game. The game makes you feel like you need to run through it and speed run it, and that's what really sets you back, because you end up getting killed repeatedly and having to replay these sections. But I feel like if you take your time, use the cover, yeah, I feel like you absolutely can sustain a fair permadeath mode.
It's the ultimate returnal. You're gonna do it first try, right, Wes?
Right? No,
Hmm.
not at all.
You could stream it, bro. That would be actually a fun stream to watch. See if Wes is gonna make it, right?
I'd watch
Oh,
that.
I'm for sure going to stream this game. Like, there's no question. The only reason I didn't stream it today was because, when I went on Without Parole the other day, I said that I had 2 levels left. I was wrong. I actually had 3 levels left. I ended up playing it another like hour and a half today,
Wow.
to finish it. And I didn't want to spoil it, so I didn't want to like stream the late levels. So that's the reason I didn't stream it today. But I am going to go back in this game, and when I do, I absolutely will stream it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's cool. And now, I guess so. You guys both have said. What do you think, Wes? Did you say it was worth picking up on a sale or full price or?
Well, a couple of things. Um, First of all, let's talk about precedent. Um, uh, this isn't the first game that hypothetically, had I paid for it, I didn't pay for it. Had I paid for it, this wouldn't be the first game that I paid $30 for that ended up being very short. Transference comes to mind. Transference was much shorter than this game was. Like, most people finish Transference in 2 hours. It took me about 3 to finish it, and it took me over 4 to finish Fracked. So, with that said, um, this is actually more game for my $30. I was happy with Transference. I love that game, and I was not at all upset to pay the $30 for it. And for what it's worth, $30 was worth a lot more to me back then than it is now. Um, so there's that. Also, if we're talking about Transference versus Fracked, I find Fracked to be much more replayable than Transference was. Transference was heavily story driven, and while there probably was enough um, collectibles and achievements to merit a second playthrough, that's it. You're not going to play through it more than twice. And I feel like with Fracked here, it's almost endlessly replayable just because of the spontaneity of your interactions with the enemies, and just how fun it is in general to play, especially with the skiing sections, which, as Eric mentioned, you can go straight through the skiing sections and only play those if you want to. Um, but is this game worth $30? I've really struggled a lot with that question. First of all, let me agree with Eric. I think that if you have a PlayStation VR, that you should pre-order it right now. You can get it for 26 and change, like I said, and it's certainly easier for me to recommend a game this short at a little less money. I would not pay the extra money for the deluxe edition. At this point, I would suggest that people pre-order the regular edition and just wait for another 2 days until it releases to play it. Now, is it worth $30? It's tough. It's tough based on the merits of the game alone, uh, to recommend it for $30. But I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to recommend it for $30. If obviously, if you're struggling for money, hold on to your money. Why are you buying VR games for? Um, but this is really the deciding factor for me, and it isn't so much based on the merits of the game. A game this good that's this short for $30, I don't know. It's a questionable situation. You might want to wait for a sale, but I'm going to recommend it because of the platform that it's on. This is a PlayStation VR game. And in a day and age where In Dreams could have went and done another Oculus exclusive and made a ton more money, you know, reportedly, had they decided to go that route, they chose to make a PlayStation VR game. And they chose to make one of the best PSVR releases of the year. And I feel like they're owed a bit of a debt of gratitude from the PSVR community. I think they should be rewarded for making a Sony exclusive in 2021. And for that reason, I'm recommending anyone, especially people who play exclusively on PlayStation VR, absolutely, they should buy this game, whether they get it now or get it when it goes up to $30. I think that In Dreams made an excellent game here, and I think they should be commended for making a PlayStation VR game during the last year of PlayStation VR being a thing. So that's just kind of how I feel about it. And feel free to disagree with me if you want to, but I think that they deserve to be rewarded for making such a great game on that platform.
I think your, I guess any content, you know, is really based on how much you enjoy it, and it sounds like you guys enjoyed it, and it does look like a, at least for to me, a quality game. So I would say $30 is fair, but without playing it, of course. So
Yeah. Where it gets dicey is when you start comparing it to what else you can get on the store for $30. Now, like if you're a new PSVR owner, it's hard to recommend this being the first thing you spend $30 on. Because I mean, and I hate to overstay my welcome here with this, but I mean I gotta call it as I see it. This game tries to do a lot of what Blood and Truth does. Blood and Truth, obviously a first party AAA Sony release. This game is not Blood and Truth. I mean, everything that this game does, almost everything, not everything, almost everything that this game does, Blood and Truth does and does it better. Uh, but Blood and Truth is a probably a top 5, top 3 PlayStation VR game. So that's not to put this game down in any way, but again, Blood and Truth is a AAA release. It launched for like $50. It's still $40, but you can get it on sale from time to time for less than 30. And if you're a new PSVR owner, I have a hard time telling people to put their 30 on this instead of putting it on that, because Blood and Truth is one of the best VR games, irregardless of platform that I've ever played. Period.
especially if you got a PS5, it's going to be the best one you've ever seen. So
Yeah, also has unlocked resolution, and there's no cell shading there. It's. I mean, I guess there is a bit of it in their art style, but it's not to this comic book level that you see in today's games.
Yep.
Eric, have you played Blood and Truth?
I did. I didn't finish it yet, but I played it. It was amazing. See, I don't have anything to compare it to because I've only played it on the PlayStation 5. So I never tried it on the PS4 or the Pro. So, I thought it looked amazing. But like I said, I don't know what it looked like before, but I thought
Uh,
it was as good as any as good looking as any title I've seen. Maybe Half-Life Alyx beats it or something like
the,
that, but not
you can
many.
see the obvious comparisons between these two games, though, right? With how they play, with how they look, the amount of clarity that you get in the PSVR headset when you're on your PS5. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between these two games.
Yeah, it's just the locomotion's different. You're node based with
Right.
with Blood and
Uh,
Truth, and you got more free locomotion here. And but the complete art style is different. I mean, that's more of a realistic looking game where this is like I said, more of an arty an art style cell shaded graphics. But yeah, I mean the mechanic, the weapons, the mechanics is definitely you can see where they were trying to go with this.
right. So yeah, that Frack definitely wins in the locomotion category, hands down. And they are two entirely different art styles. Um, but the gunplay, the style of game that it is, very similar. The one big difference being the storytelling in Blood and Truth. The thing that we said Fracked should have done here to lengthen the game. Uh, Blood and Truth almost does it too much, right? They have big long cinema sequences where there's hardly any action, but it really, it draws the game out, and they have Hollywood actors in there, so I mean, it really works for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I recommend the game, whether you get it on sale or not. I recommend it at $30, especially for people who are longtime PlayStation VR owners. I think that you're not going to be, the only disappointment you're going to find is that there isn't more, right? But you can always replay it, and it's very replayable.
And Mash has a good point. There's a good chance that there is going to be more added down the road. No guarantee, but if you go from their last game, there's probably going to be stuff added. So
Yeah,
Yeah, and they
absolutely.
left the ending completely open. So, I mean,
They did. Like they could. I mean, they left it infinitely open, didn't they?
you could add 2 or 3 levels easy, right? I mean, with story alone, where they left it. So you could do it.
Absolutely. Anyway, that's going to wrap up our Fracked review discussion. If you want to see me stream this game, be sure you're hitting the button and the bell. And if you got a PSVR, do it already. If you wait till tomorrow, it's going to cost you more money. Just buy it now, man. It's a great game. It's one of the best games on PlayStation VR, and one of only a handful that really uses the PlayStation 5. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, it's really not much of a debate at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm hoping they do something with the PlayStation VR2 for this, right? Maybe like an upgrade or a second one.
Honestly, what I'd like to do, I'd like to check this out on my PS4 Pro. Obviously, it's with the dynamic resolution, it's going to scale down and probably be significantly hindered on the PS4 Slim. But what I said earlier about seeing this thing, I could see it running on a Quest 2. I could see it being fairly similar um, on a PS4 Pro. So I'd be interested to to do a little comparison here. Maybe I'll do that next time I play through it. Maybe I'll just go into the living room and play it on my Pro.
It's a good idea. That sounds like a good topic to talk about on a future show, or at least a mini topic.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't played any VR on my Pro since I've got my PlayStation 5.
No,
Like
there you go. You could do Blood and Truth. You could kind of do a couple of comparisons from PS5 to PS4 Pro.
well, Verizon in the chat says you can do it. Technoglitch says needs multiplayer. LOL. Yeah, I mean, I could see it with the gameplay. Really, the story wouldn't work. The story campaign wouldn't work with multiplayer, but I could definitely see them banging out some challenge levels in this thing, like single player or multiplayer, just speed running based challenge levels, the type of stuff that you see in Farpoint. When you go into challenge mode, they have a whole set of maps that are based on speed running. Kill all the enemies and run through the map. I could see them basically doubling the length of gameplay in this game fairly easily uh, through adding that kind of content DLC, and hopefully we'll see something like that from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so our next title, and I guess we need to be clear moving forward. The discussion we just had about Fracked is a full-on review discussion from a game that Eric and I both finished. Going forward, the titles that we're talking about on the remainder of the show, these are, or at least on my part, and I'm pretty sure Roots is as well. These are going to be first impressions, because I've got about an hour in each one of these games, and we're going to talk about what we think of them so far. And the next one we're going to talk about, I feel, was very fitting timing on it, because I'd never played The Climb before. And this past week, we picked up collectively, you guys, the community, bought Roots and I a copy of The Climb 2. So this was not a review copy. I want to send a big thank you out there to the people who support us through YouTube tips as well as Patreon, because you guys provided this title to us. And for what it's worth, I picked it up on sale. So we didn't spend a ton of your money on it, but this was completely user supported, this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Every tip, every caboose, every choo-choo from Dave's station, all of it, all of you guys' stuff, man. It feels good. It feels good, right, Wes? So.
yeah, very, very much appreciated. But with that said, I felt like the timing was right with this one. Not only because I'd never played either of the Climb titles before, but coming off of Fracked, which was so climbing heavy, and some of the more impressive sequences in the game were based on climbing, I felt like I was just picking up where I left off when I went into the Climb 2. And, I was primed for a climbing game at that point. So Eric, thanks, Eric. I think this is the first time a host has ever given us a super chat. So that's one for the YouTube annals, the annals. He said this is weird with me on here, so he's giving himself money. How about that? Eric, do you want to thank yourself?
I'm the best. I am the best. I tell my wife all the time how good I am.
Right. Eric, I know this was your first time playing the Climb 2, or at least I'm pretty sure it was. Have you ever played Climb 1 before?
Yeah, I was gonna say, shocker. This is my first time playing any climb game, so it's gonna be difficult for me to talk about how good this game was or is better over the first one, or if it is an improvement over the first one. You guys would probably be better at me than that. I can tell you what my experience was in it, but that's about it. But yeah, I've never played the other ones. I just didn't have a real urge to, especially for the price. And the thing never goes on sale, or very rarely goes on sale. If it is, it's like in a package deal. And I was just never really wanting to throw that money on it. You know what I mean?
On climbing, right? Which is something that most people consider to be kind of a cliche thing in VR at this point. Like, you're going to do a whole game around climbing. How does that work? Now, with that said, without getting too detailed early on, I had very low expectations for this game. And I will say that during my limited playtime, the game did exceed my expectations. I expected it to be purely eye candy, and there's more to it than that. The climbing mechanics are nuanced a little more than I expected them to be if you play in professional mode as opposed to casual mode. But Roots, you're the sole guy here who's played the first climb. Neither Eric nor I have ever played any of this series. So let me just start off by asking you, how similar or different was the Climb 2 as compared to the Climb 1?
I felt like the climbing things that you grab are a lot different for sure. I mean, I did most of my climbing in the city stuff, because how cool is it to be climbing on these buildings? Kind of sketchy as well. But I felt like some of the climbing aspects were a little bit different, or at least the same, some of the things you were grabbing. And I felt like it was a little bit better this time around. Like, I don't know if they've improved on it, or maybe it was just, it's been so long since I played it. But I just felt more, I felt like I jumped into it. I'm not doing a training. I've already played this game. I'm an expert. And then I got in, and then I was like, oh God, I forgot how to chalk my hands. So I was messing around. I'm surprised I never died. So once I figured out everything, I was flying. I was actually climbing really fast. But the problem with that is I wasn't paying attention, and I started going in a circle, and I found myself back at the beginning platform, and I was so confused. But no, I'm enjoying this. I feel like the only thing that lacks to me is, obviously the draw distance. I played all of the Climb 1 on super sampled on the Rift, and with the computer backing it up, there was not as much of the I guess like just the draw distance. You know, you're looking at the far distance. It didn't look as beautiful as I would say on the PCVR, but that being said, I was really impressed with the graphics, especially in the. I didn't climb every level, but I went to every area, at least where I could, because if you go to professional, you can't. You can only go to certain ones. But I like that Fjord one the most. It was like you could actually see the waves coming in and stuff. Like the other water, you're so up above, it's nothing's moving, and it almost looks fake, right? But I don't know, man. I felt I felt like this was really fun. So at least what I've played so far.
Yeah, yeah. What you're saying there is absolutely true. I mean, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot more going on with the gameplay than I expected. A very nuanced climbing game here. It isn't just climbing. This is a climbing game, very much based on your technique and how it affects your stamina. You know, obviously, if you deplete your stamina, you're going to fall. So how you grab things matters, and it's not just all the same thing to grip. I mean, there are certain types of grips that'll break away after a couple of seconds. There are other types of grips that are sharp, so you can't hold on to them very long. You know, and not only that, but there's different ways that you can grip. You know, if you squeeze it down all the way on the trigger, you do a tight grip, which depletes your stamina faster. But if you only squeeze the trigger halfway, your stamina depletes a lot more slowly. And when you work this into the fact that there is no set path, that you can go the wrong way. There are parts where there are no grips and you have to jump. Um, and the fact that this is coming from Crytek, you know, expert game makers, I was very impressed uh, with the way they were able to actually make a game out of climbing. Uh, Eric, how did you feel about the game that they were having you play here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought all of the climbing was great. I mean, it was super easy. You know, I did the tutorial because I had never played it before, and once I got through that, I mean, I had no issues doing any of the whether you had to chalk your hands, you had to sometimes you had to hang on with one hand and re-chalk and get your stamina back in your hand before you can move on, and that came pretty easy. So I thought the gameplay was great, and I mean, Roots, what did it look like on the Rift? I mean, did it look close to this, the Quest 2? Because I mean, I was looking at it, I'm like, this almost looks like some photorealistic environments, right? I mean, I thought it looked awesome.
It looked good, but like I said, it was the draw distance stuff that didn't look as good this time, just because there's only so much rendering they can do. But I need to go back into the climb one if I'm being honest, because it's been so long. I actually went through most of that game. I really enjoyed it, and I got it. When I first got into VR, I was a collector of games. I mean, I did. Wes knows I bought every single game that was out there. If I struggled with not buying them. This show actually helped me not stop buying them, which was good. But yeah, I really am impressed with this climb too, and I actually am kind of feel not dumb, but I feel kind of stupid for not trying it sooner. So
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway from my experience because it was so beautiful, and as much as I raved about the gameplay and how they were actually able to make a challenging game out of climbing, um, I mean, it's still the eye candy is what they're selling here. The ability to dangle and over such beautiful environments. Really, my biggest takeaway was, man, I want this game on PC.
hmm
And if you ask me, it's time now, right? I mean, this game's been out for a while as a Quest exclusive. We need this game on PC. Now, with that said, I do own the first one. I own it on Rift, and while I've pretty much had it most of the time that I've had VR, I'll actually I actually want to play it now for the first time ever, based on just how beautiful the Quest 2 version of the sequel is. So I hope we get Climb 2 on PC. But until then, I definitely want to go in to the climb 1 and see what these environments look like when they're super sampled all to hell and I've got my G2 on. Uh,
It's gonna
man, I
blow
bet
you
it's
away.
just stunning.
Yeah, it's gonna blow you away. Let me ask you both of you this. I'm assuming you didn't, but did you try any of the freestyle levels?
No.
Oh my god, dude! There's this one level. It's all crazy. It's crazy shit, man. Like this one level, and it is. I guess you would be kind of, you guys would be right up your alley with Fracked, because you're grabbing, you're not grabbing grappling or whatever those things, going down the, I can't even think the fuck, I'm so tired, dude. Going down those
Zip
zip
line.
lines, yeah. So they've got all these different things you're grabbing, and you're sliding down these things, and you're having to switch over, and it's chaos. Like I couldn't believe it. It was kind of I don't know, it's just insane. You guys need to try it, and I recommend it to anybody.
Oh,
I
that was
felt
one of the things I liked too. Sorry, Wes. That was one of the things I liked too. Was when you were sliding down those zip lines, like if you had to like let go and and grab on, because if you waited, it would like the impact of where the zip line stopped would knock you off and you'd fall. So I
Oh
thought that
wow,
was pretty cool.
yeah,
yeah, I felt really again, I felt at home playing those types of sequences in this game, having coming off playing Fracked. I kind of felt to some extent like it was more what I've been doing already. But when you put these awesome natural environments around it, these beautiful vistas, am I the only one who had the thought that I really, really, really want the Uncharted in VR? Like, I want Uncharted for VR in first person, because imagine the game that we just played, The Climb, but imagine that these levels are just, you know, these are just sequences in a larger story campaign with action, fighting, and cinema quality, acting, and imagine a 30-hour epic where, you know, 6 to 8 hours of it's climbing sequences like this, but also put in like vines and things that you can swing on. I mean, Crytek has showed that you can make a game that has enough visual quality to be on that level. Um, I think all the pieces are there. We just need Insomniac to put them together, right?
yeah, yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I
You
mean
ever play it?
that one level was it is it Uncharted 3 or 4 in the beginning where he's on the train, right? And he's got to climb through the train that's like falling off a bridge, and it's all
Yeah,
vertical, and you're having to go inside the windows and outside the windows. That some levels of Fract had that kind of feel to it. Could you imagine that the visuals like this with that though? You're right. That would be. I
it'd be
mean,
the ultimate.
that's PlayStation VR 2, right? It's coming.
Yeah, would that? I mean, that would be the best game ever, the best VR game we've ever played. Like, I feel like it would be. It would have to be.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I enjoyed my time in this so far. Again, I was very impressed. The other thing, and I don't know. Feel free to chime in, guys, if you guys had the same notion while you were playing the climb. Uh, it kind of made me want to go play To the Top, because you got that same kind of feeling when you got really high up in the air that you get when you get close to the top, into the top. Really, those are my two big takeaways. Is one, I need Uncharted in VR, and two, uh, we need to play To the Top. It's multiplayer. I mean, we could all play it together, and it's so fun.
Absolutely. You know what's funny, and I meant to say this earlier, but I forgot. You were talking about the squeezing of the grips, and the stamina. I had said before in the first one that I was like, oh man, when I was playing the first climb, I didn't think it was that bad. I wasn't not scared of heights, but it's like, it's no big deal. But then I realized I was gripping the controllers really hard, right? And I thought this time I'm like, okay, I'm over that. And I found myself doing the same thing, dude. Like, you know what I mean? That's a testament to how good the heights look. Even though I'm not, afraid of falling, in the back of my mind, I'm gripping it really hard because my mind's telling me I'm up high, even though it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a struggle, a mental struggle for sure. And I imagine that that will be multiplied when you get to the photorealism that you get in PCVR.
Yeah.
Because while this was one of the most beautiful games I've seen on Quest 2, it does show its standalone colors when you get like close up with some of the vegetation and stuff. It's that flat, it's very highly detailed, but it's flat 2D stuff that's kind of cross stitched together to make it look 3D, as opposed to a full 3D rendered object.
Yeah. True.
Have you played To the Top, Eric?
I have loved that game. I love it, and I've never done. You know what? I've never done though multiplayer in it. I've always just played it by myself. So we need to do that for sure.
It's funny, man, with the multiplayer. Like you're supposed to be competing, like it's a competitive thing, but the rules are kind of different, and I still don't know how you're supposed to play To the Top multiplayer. I've always just went in with friends and just kind of co-opt and forgot about the clock or any kind of objectives and just had fun climbing to the goal. But there is a game there that you're supposed to play somehow. I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Me neither.
Archangel says, geez, these reviews are just littered with mom jokes. Hey, we got to do something to stand out, right? And be different.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say you said earlier. You know who else likes to grip it hard?
My mom.
Oh, yeah, she does. Not too hard, though,
Traveling,
please.
Not too hard, yeah.
Traveling Man 3775 in the chat asks, is To the Top crossplay? I have it on Quest 2. The Quest 2 version I know is not. I don't know if the other versions are crossplay with one another. I know the Quest 2 version is self-contained, because it only just got multiplayer a few months back when To the Top came to App Lab. When it was on SideQuest, it didn't support multiplayer. That's actually something fresh. But the good news is, Traveling Man, I have it on Quest 2 as well as PC, as well as PlayStation VR. I've got them all, so we can play, bro.
Yeah.
Like that game's so good, it's tragically underrated in today's today's VR marketplace. Nobody ever talks about To the Top anymore, and it's still one of the best games in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that an Infinity title?
Uh,
That'd be a perfect Infinity title, but it's not.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You're right. It would be perfect, because the from my understanding of how the monetary uh compensation goes, you get rewarded for playtime. Like the more people play it, the longer people play it, the more the devs get paid, and that's the perfect type of game to capitalize from that type of a scenario, because it's something when you play To the Top, you play it till your battery dies. I mean, it's a great game that you don't want to put down.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Anyway, we have Acid X joining us in chat. Says, been sleeping on the Climb series since they rarely go on sale. If I ever get an Oculus 30 code, it's on my short list. That being said, it's been mandatory overtime at work for the last 8 weeks, and my Quest 2 is collecting dust. Man, don't you just hate it? The good news is that when they finally do let you off the overtime, you're gonna have the cash flow to buy some games and play. So
Yeah, absolutely. And not to add insult to injury on your getting your coupon, I just let mine expire. Oh, so
oh no, bro.
Oh, did you really? I have
Yeah.
2 days left on
no,
mine.
it was expired yesterday. I just didn't have a game I wanted to get. So
I've got about 5 left that I want. I own the rest of the ones I want.
yeah, I just got too much right now to play. I just can't justify.
Oh yeah,
You know,
there's no way I'd ever play anything that I bought.
I started thinking, okay, I'm gonna buy a game because Oculus is giving me a coupon, even though I don't need it right now. I was like, no, that doesn't sound right.
I was
Yeah.
thinking Tetris Effect. I don't have. They just came out with the Connected, and I don't have it. I've never played it.
Oh yeah, you need to get that, dude.
I
That
figured
game
me
is-
and Jim Hall could get in and play.
Yeah, I think Jim Hall's waiting to play right now.
Yeah, and notably, Quest 2 Enhanced now
Yeah.
since they just updated it. So I'm sure as beautiful as it was before, I'm sure it's even more so now.
Somebody was just Radio Runt, right? Wasn't he saying in the Discord tonight that he just started playing it again? But he said the Quest 2 version gave him a headache. Now I don't know. It's never given me a headache, so I don't know.
Might be frame rate.
Yeah.
Maybe it was locked into a low frame rate.
Yeah, maybe it's stress of moving. I don't know.
It may be maybe you turn down the particle effects a little bit and use side quests to lock it in at 90, and maybe your headaches go away.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, one more title to give some shine this week. Some more first impressions for, and I always get it mixed up, so I'll make sure I'm getting the right one. Vengeful Rites. This game has been in Steam early access for well, let me just
Long time.
check. It's been a long time. This is a an adventure game. And Roots, I found it interesting. We were talking about Stones of Harlech the other day, and you kind of described that as a one of the closest things to Zelda in VR. Well, I kind of took it more as a more like an old school role playing game. Not the case with Vengeful Rites. Like Vengeful Rites, I feel is a legit Zelda game in VR.
It's
From
more,
what I can tell,
more than
so
a Zelda game. I don't even remember Zelda having so much magic even. I thought that was the coolest part for me was the magic. And I'll tell you what, the levitating or whatever they call it, the divination or what is it called? It was so cool being able to move things around, kinesis, right? And it really felt because they actually had you calibrate your hands or your controllers really well. It really felt like I was moving those things with my mind, Wes. I felt like I was magic, bro. It was cool.
I love it when you kind of just melt into the control screen to the point you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And with a game that has so much going on, like this game has a lot going on at any given time with regards to your character and your abilities and all the different things that attributes. It really, I mean, after you get through a fairly lengthy tutorial, which I felt like probably could have been done a little bit better. After you get through all that, it was actually much more intuitive than you would expect, which was great. So Steam doesn't say, oh, okay, here it is. Early access 2018. So 3 years in early access nearly, and finally came out to a full release just a couple of weeks ago. Again, this game is from Deep Dive Interactive. We want to thank the good, I say good people, the good dude. He's a good dude at Deep Dive Interactive, and we appreciate him giving us review access to this. So, Eric, when I talked to you earlier, you said that you had been playing through Vengeful Rites. Now, I took that like maybe you had played all the way through it. Did you actually make it all the way through this game?
I made it through the tutorial.
Okay, gotcha. Because it surprised me because from what I understand, this is a pretty long game.
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, I got into it. I'm like, I really had not a lot of information about this game. And I was like, okay, I'm looking at it. I'm like, this doesn't look great. And then I started getting into like, after the tutorial, some of the depth. This is a deep game. There's a lot of stuff in here, man. They have,
Yeah.
I mean, all the mechanics are great. There's a lot of progression with building your mana and building your you can kind of choose which way you want to go, right? There's a branching system of perks that you can get, and yeah, I mean, I'm surprised how deep it is. I want to go back into this game. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this more.
I fully concur with what you're saying here. I was extremely surprised. Now, I thought that it would be cool. The reason why we were playing it is because I thought it would be cool. but I wasn't expecting it to be as cool as it was. This legit felt like Zelda VR to me. And yeah, the graphics are a little bit cartoony, but to be honest, they weren't quite as primitive as I expected them to be. Like now, granted, I was playing in my G2, but I mean, I found the game, even though it has this cartoony art style, I found it to be very immersive because not only was everything so clear, but it has very good sound design. Like there's really good sound effects that build atmosphere around you. Uh, Roots, overall, how did this game live up to your expectation?
It blew me away. The biggest thing that the parrying, dude, the fighting with the swords and stuff, man. There was actual. I felt, you can't waggle your sword, and you're actually you're fighting them and you're blocking their things. And I was not expecting it to be this good, even though I played it before. And I don't know how far you guys made it, but I put some kind of a thing on my sword. It put like an elven, it looked like elven writing on it, and it was really cool. And I just was super impressed with what I've played so far. So
Yeah, I was very impressed with the combat. Like I've played a lot of these melee games at this point, and I mean this is right up there with the best of them with regards to sword play, parrying and counterattacking. Although I do feel like it was maybe a little bit too insistent on the length of your stride. Like I got dinged a lot for not swinging broadly enough when I felt like I was.
that's how I
Now
smacked my hand so bad, because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking and then I hit my desk. Crazy.
Erica, what did you think about the melee combat?
Yeah, I thought it was good. No waggle, right? I tried to waggle just to see if I could do it, and you can't do it. It's not really, because you have to you have to use such broad strokes, which it can be a pain if you're in a tight space. But I'd rather have that. I mean, I don't want to have to fake it to get. I mean, if I can just waggle it, I don't want to do it. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
very recently people were very complimentary toward a title that just entered early access, Everslot. I don't feel like in terms of like melee combat, Everslot's even anywhere near as good as Vengeful Rites.
Yeah, I'm surprised how well, because you can block with, you can create a magic shield, which is freaking cool, right? I mean, you just flip your wrist and all of a sudden you got a shield in your hand. That was awesome. And then you can also block and parry with a sword, so you can kind of do both. And then you only have so many attacks that you can do, and the attacks that they do on you are varied. It wasn't like they were just doing one motion the same and you knew where it was going to come from. There was a high attack, a low attack, and they changed it up quite a bit. So it was challenging. I actually, I don't know how you guys. I died a couple of times where I thought I was doing okay, and all of a sudden I was dead. So, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Did you use
And they had all.
the healing spell?
I did, but I didn't get it done in time. Look, it's like by the time I could have got the healing spell back out and healed myself, you're just a way better healer than me, Ruth.
I'm a healer at heart.
You're made to be the healer.
Yeah, I kept the healing spell equipped in my sword hand and kept the shield equipped in my offhand, so I didn't have to try to scramble to get that stuff when I needed it.
That's funny. We're like different play styles, because I had the fire in my. where Wes is always like, how do I make sure I'm not going to die? And I'm always like, how do I shoot somebody in the face?
Wes is very meticulous. He plans it out and he executes.
Yeah.
Well, I had a fire sword, so I mean, like,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
There was even archers. Like it wasn't all just sword play either. There were archers that were shooting you at range. So obviously your thought is, well, I'll just bum rush the guy, and then if I keep my shield out, there's no way he hits me. But you bum rush the archer, and they just grab an arrow and try to stab you with it.
Well, you know what's funny too, Wes? I was cocky with the guy with my shield, and I was slowly moving up, and I thought I'm just gonna block him, and so he started shooting my feet. You know what I mean? Like the enemies aren't stupid in this game, which is amazing because how many games do you get into and the AI is just retarded and you just end up killing them in 2 seconds, right?
It's almost as if there were a guy who took 3 years and listened to what the community gave him and implemented it in this game and then just polished the fuck out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a example to devs, to take your time and listen to the community and do what, I mean, the good devs anyway, and they'll polish the hell out of it. So
My one of my first thoughts when I was in it, it was, this is what I want, or this is what I wanted Orbis to be, or any MMO. I mean, if you could have taken this game, or just the way it looks, or the way the combat is, and the way the magic is, and you put a few more things in it, and you build some servers, and you make this an MMO, man, this would be amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and the map is giant and varied. You kill the enemies. I'm sitting here fighting these guys, thinking, "Man, this is Zelda VR." And then I kill one of the dudes, and there's coins floating in the air for me to
Oh
pick
yeah.
up, just like Zelda. And you can actually spend those coins to buy new weapons and shit. It's awesome, just like Zelda.
Well, now I want to find hidden. I want to take a bomb and I want to find a hidden doorway. There were so many
Right.
cool things about Zelda that, yeah, love it.
Did you guys find the merchant that's right close to your home there?
I
I
did, yeah.
I did not. I did not find.
Did he try to sell you that piece of crap, Eric?
The bow, he gave me the bow for free.
He gave it to you.
Yeah,
I
he
guess
didn't,
I
he didn't give
didn't
it
I
to
didn't.
you?
Well, maybe he was. I thought he was trying to sell it to me, but he was like, "Here, you can have this piece of junk," and I just walked away like, "I don't want your garbage, man."
That was the magic bow, Wes.
Yeah.
I should have got it. Then I wouldn't have had to climb that tree to get the fruit.
Did you see that he had staffs too? So you can you can get like a magical, you can get a wizard staff Roots.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want a wizard staff?
Yeah, you
You
know
know who
who?
loves staffs?
No, wizards especially.
My
Wizard staff.
mom!
Yeah.
No, he had staffs. He had swords. He even had those stones that you can sharpen your sword with and give it special magical abilities.
How
He
much
had all that stuff.
were they
there.
expensive?
They were very expensive.
Oh my god. Well, I'm
They
glad.
were like 20. They were like 2,500, and I had 60.
Yeah, see, I'm glad I didn't find them because I would have been really pissed. Like you was ripping me off, bro. 60. I got 60. So,
Yeah, I was kind of upset too when they killed our master, our mentor, and he has this gnarly ass sword there, and you can't even pick it up. I was like, dude, I want that guy's sword. It's right there. Let me have it.
check this out. I never got to this where you can actually like I guess it's got tiers like to upgrade your melee or like different that's pretty cool, man. That's actually pretty detailed.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I only played about an hour of this game, but I walked out totally wanting to play more and thoroughly impressed. And this is another one. This is I talked about. I'm going to for sure stream when I go back into Fracked. I'm for sure going to stream this one too because this game deserves some shine. It's a double-edged sword, and no pun intended here. It's a double-edged sword. You know, being in early access for 3 years because now we've got this amazing game because he spent 3 years polishing it and adding content to it and growing it. Uh, but it's kind of, that's the good thing. There's an amazing game here. The bad thing is no one will ever know it because to everyone who's been in VR all this time, this is just a 3-year-old game that didn't look all that great a few years ago, right? So most people who are in the know with VR don't know just how good this thing turned out. So I feel like if there ever was a title that needed to be streamed for people to see, it's stuff like this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of why we like to do, talk about these kind of games, right? Let people know, hey, this is
Hell
out
yeah.
there. So
Yeah, I just you guys doing this and letting me have a reason to get in there and do it. I'm gonna promo it in my group for sure, 100%, because this game needs to be seen. And there's a lot of people out there with PCVR that want to play it, and I think they need to know about it. I'm gonna promote it for sure.
Reach out to the dev. You might even be able to get some keys to give away. You know?
We may have 100 or so to give away.
Yeah, really.
So yeah, this is $20 on the Steam store, and obviously, while we haven't played very deep into it yet, from all indications are this is a very long adventure campaign. I can absolutely, we all vouch for the gameplay being super polished and very dynamic. Like there's a lot going on here. Um, and the great thing about it is, if you don't want to drop the $20 on it to find out if it's good or not, there's a free demo. Anybody can try this game right now.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Now, let me ask you this: I did play on my G2, and everything worked perfectly. Like I had no issue uh, figuring out how to do any of it. The tutorial, it was 1-to-1. The buttons they told me to press worked on my G2 controllers. But that said, I could not figure out how to bring up a pause menu. Was there a pause menu?
Pause.
It was in the book. You had to, if you hit the on the Oculus controller, if you hit the B button, which is on the right controller, it brought up a book that opened up in front of you, and then there was a setting there. You
Oh, that's
had
where the
settings menu.
That's where the options
Yeah.
are too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think I couldn't get that to come up. I'm pretty sure I tried that button. Do you have to hold it or anything? You just press
No,
it.
yeah, just a button press.
All right, so I may have to remap that one or see if I can download like a controller binding for it because that was the one thing I couldn't do. Now it may be as simple as me changing around my OpenXR settings a little bit. That might fix it. Or maybe we need to talk to the dev and have him get in there. But I tried to find the pause menu because this is the second time I've played the game. The first time I played it, I did like you did, Eric, and I just played through the tutorial just to see what it was like. But now, and it's a fairly lengthy tutorial, but now I had to go and do all of that again. It didn't save any of it. And I had to play through the whole tutorial again today. And that was like an extra 20 minutes I could have had more to play deeper into the game had I not had to do that again.
Yeah, that saves it. First time it saves is at that when you sharpen your knife with that stone, I think. At least that's the first time I saw it save.
Yeah, same for
So-
me.
So, well, maybe, hopefully, then, because I definitely made it quite a bit past that. So, hopefully, I won't have to start all over again.
Yeah,
you
When I
should.
Did you guys I messed up and I turned my snap turn off. It said, because I'm like, I don't want snap turn. And then I got in the game and I had no turn. And so then I had to go back in, and then there was an option for smooth turn, but it was weird the way that they had it set up. It wasn't like the wording of some of the things were a little weird. You know, like sometimes it's got a weird name for it, and you're like, what is that? And then okay, that's smooth turn or something.
yeah, I think they called it like sliding or something like
sliding
that.
for
Yeah.
that was for walking normal, right? Yeah, that was weird.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, but no, I went through the options before I even started and made sure everything was good before I even went into the game. So
yeah.
Yeah, I tried to teleport. It was terrible because I didn't realize that the slide. Because again, I'm looking at it. I'm like, "What the hell is slide? I don't want slide. I don't know what that is." So I'm like, "Oh, there's no smooth loco." So I'm like, "Oh, I'll go to teleport." So yeah, I went to teleport. Teleport was terrible. So I finally went in. And I'm like, "Oh, I'll just try the slide and see what it's like." And the slide was all smooth loco.
Yeah. Well,
And I turned that turn way all the way up as high as I can go.
that's the one thing the dev messed up. It's not 2018 anymore. You need to put it on locomotion default teleport as an option, in my opinion.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I agree with that. I think I think that by now it's pretty obvious that smooth turning and full locomotion should be not only included with every game, but it should be default at this point. Blows my mind that there's still a significant amount of games that launched without even any smooth turning in it,
Weird.
which is just crazy to me.
That is too. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, I think we all had similar uh, similar feelings on this one. Like totally blown away by it. Like expected it to be cool, did not expect it to be as cool as it was. Super highly polished, and it's a weird case because these indie PCVR games, a lot of them have a look to them, right? Like you could tell by looking at them that it's an indie PCVR game. And this one's no exception. You can tell by looking at it, it's an indie PC game, but still, I mean, it looks good. Like you can tell that it's had 3 years of polish put into it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Not just the way
yeah,
it looks, but the mechanics as well.
yeah, everything,
Yep.
everything extremely polished. Even if you can tell it's an indie game, it's a very good indie game.
Yeah.
And more climbing too, right? Every game had climbing in it tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a
yeah. I
climbing
thought that when I was
fiesta.
when I was doing it and this was the last game I played today, and I was thought, man, we're reviewing 3 climbing games today. How about
Mhm.
that?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Trifecta.
I want to fish in this game. I hope there's fishing somewhere.
There's a good
what is all
possibility. I bet you there probably is fishing in this game.
Well, I'm a mage, and I want to fish with lightning.
Oh, that would
Hell
be cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Shock the water. Yeah.
Kill all the fish, and then use my telekinesis to reel them in.
Yeah. You'll kill all the fish and just take one.
right.
That's probably not good.
Anyway, I think that's going to wrap up our episode today. Eric, awesome as always, man. Thanks
Yeah.
for sitting in.
I love being here. I love talking VR with you guys. It's a blast.
Yeah.
Always. I think me and Ruuts are gonna do it tomorrow too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. 7:00 Eastern on your Facebook group, right?
Yeah. What are we gonna talk
Oh,
about?
I don't
there you
know.
go.
We're talking about everything tonight. What are we gonna talk about?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, I will be more awake. I guarantee it.
For sure.
Anyway, if you guys liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit the button and the bell to stay up with all of our content. We still have a lot coming up, guys. I have not forgot about the Ven VR giveaway. I'll probably upload that video tomorrow. Things kind of got sidetracked a little bit, not only with my personal life, but getting the invite to go without parole the other day was just kind of completely out of the blue. Threw me for a loop. By the way, if Brian sees this, thank you for having me on. Had an absolute blast. But yeah, we have not forgotten. So be on the lookout for a Ven VR adventure gameplay video. Probably going to be up tomorrow, and you will learn in that video how you can win your own copy of Ven VR Adventure for Oculus Quest. And beyond that, I'm going to stream some shit, whether it be PlayStation VR, whether it be Vengeful Rites. I'm going to stream a game this week, at least one. So again, hit the bell and the button if you haven't already.
Yeah.
For those of you who want to do a little something extra, you can do so by joining us and supporting us on Patreon, where for as little as $3 per month, you can gain access to our weekly show notes. You can gain access to insider updates, exclusive content, and more. Virtual Strangers Patreon. It's $3, bro.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the important thing, the reason why we're all here, to invite you to Discord. People think we're here, Roots, to sell them games. Nah, we're just trying to get people to join us on Discord and come hang out with us. This is where we all hang out, talk VR, talk live, play VR. We do it all on the Virtual Strangers Discord. You'll find the invitation in the description down below. Click it,
Click
man.
it. Yeah, click it and come home. We miss you.
Wolveraz in the chat says nice acid. You can see that. I didn't think that I had the acid on camera. Anyway, with that said, friends, we'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Roots and Eric, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye now.
Take it easy.
See you later.